Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you live from the Carpathian Basin here in Central Europe, Budapest, the capital of Hungary. I hope everybody has had a great week and is looking forward to a healthy, safe, and relaxing weekend. Hi Kush Kaur, Rimsha, Marie Alba. Nice to see many students in the class already. While we wait for some more of your peers, today we are focusing on listening section, parts 3 and 4, the more challenging parts. And this lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, check us out there. And for the general version of the exam, check us out at gieltshelp.com. That's generalieltshelp.com. On both of these websites, we have loads and loads of great materials for you. This is our academic web portal here with the blue background. Click that big red button to join our premium package. Get access to over 100 hours of video lessons, fully interactive course, and original practice exams. For the general version, it's the green background. Click that big red button to join us there. Hi, Elena. Hi, Abhishek. Nice to see our members joining in. Hi, Violet and Iman. Nice to see some of our regular students as well. Also, you can download and link the apps. Academic IELTS Help is your academic IELTS app that links to your web account at aehelp.com. And General IELTS Help will link to your gieltshelp.com account. If you have questions about our products or the exam, just send me an email to adrian@aehelp.com. If you want to follow these classes with a physical paper book, you can order our exam books from Amazon. In these live classes, we use our academic books. So you can search for aehelp's academic IELTS on Amazon. And if you want some practice exams for the general IELTS, you can search for GEHelp's general IELTS. All right, students. So yesterday, I gave you the tip of using logic during the listening section. It's very, very important. Right now, we're going to kick this class off with listening part 3. So we're going to jump right into it. This is listening part 3 coming from our 5th exam. So for those of you who have our books, you'll find this in book 2. Exam 5. I'm going to play the audio in just a moment. Students, please don't put the answers into the chat. Wait until the end. Other students have asked for this also. Give everybody a fair chance to give the answers on their own. We will go through the answers together after. So don't confuse other students. Wait until the end. Write the answers on a separate piece of paper or into a separate document. Now, as you can see, I'm using my earhook microphone here to play this audio with a Bose speaker. My volume is maximum, so if it's quiet for you, then just turn up the volume on your end or use a headset. Okay? All right, so I'm just going to hop over to our academic IELTS website here. Go to my student account at the top there. Now that I'm logged in and the tour, let's open up the audio CDs, and then we'll go to CD number 5 here, and we're going to start. So get ready for listening part 3. Here we go.
Battery 90%.
Just restart that one more time. Okay, here we go.
Now turn to section 3. Take some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Listening, Section 3. You will hear a forum discussion between the moderator and two contributors, Dr. Rachel Young and Dr. Ronald Sturgeon, both political scientists at the local university, talking about trade between countries. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Young and Dr. Sturgeon for taking the time to spend this afternoon with us.
Thank you for having us here today.
Dr. Young, could you give us a little background on the topic of free trade and protectionism, a little history?
Well, countries and nation-states have been participating in free trade schemes for millennia. The ancient Egyptians, for example, participated in trade with the Arabians across the Red Sea over 3,000 years ago. The Roman Empire imported many goods from outside their lands, especially luxury goods such as silk, which were only available in China. Free trade, however, though, has much younger roots.
Could you define free trade and protectionism for us, Dr. Sturgeon?
Free trade is trade between countries without taxes, tariffs, or other regulations attached. Without a free trade agreement, nations charge taxes or tariffs on goods that are imported to their country. This is to protect the manufacturers within their country. If country A, for example, produces a product for a 20% higher cost than country B, country A is likely to impose a tariff on the importation of country B's cheaper product into country A. This is to level the playing field for domestic manufacturers. Free trade advocates want to take down this barrier. In my opinion, advocates of free trade do not care about domestic manufacturers and workers in their own country. I believe their only intention is to maximize profit for big international businesses.
I know Dr. Sturgeon is impassioned about protectionism, but what he fails to mention is that while free trade may lead to some lost jobs in certain sectors, it leads to many other jobs in other sectors. This may be cold comfort to those in, say, manufacturing or textiles, but we must not be blind to the needs of the many and be distracted by the needs of the few. Nobody says free trade between countries is perfect, but it is certainly better than a protectionist framework which costs the country jobs and prosperity. Another point I would like to make is that free trade increases competition and thus lowers the price of many goods. This saves consumers money. Purchasing a car, for example, is much cheaper under free trade agreements. While such agreements may appear undesirable for a British company such as Land Rover, since they are given price disadvantage within the United Kingdom, this is not the whole story. While it is true that the company is at a minor disadvantage within their home country, free trade agreements puts them in an equally advantageous position in other countries in which the UK has a free trade agreement.
You now have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen to the rest of the discussion and answer questions 27 to 30.
This is a very interesting discussion. Dr. Sturgeon, from reading some of your work, I know you have some ethical concerns about free trade.
Yes, I have a number of ethical concerns. First and foremost, free trade agreements incentivize highly unethical sweatshops. When countries such as the United Kingdom enter free trade agreements with countries with lower human rights standards, we put ourselves at risk of tacitly endorsing those low human rights standards. Is the ability to wear slightly cheaper clothing really worth selling out on one of our most basic beliefs, that people should be treated with respect?
I agree with Dr. Sturgeon that human rights is an ongoing issue in free trade. Certain incidents, such as sweatshops collapsing and killing dozens of workers, have highlighted this issue in the media and public discourse, but these are isolated incidents.
Hardly. These are not isolated at all. And even if such horrible incidents were rare, Does it make the conditions those workers work in permissible? Do we excuse horrible working conditions as long as the workers don't die? That's an incredibly low bar, and one I believe we must implore companies and governments to raise.
Okay, let's move on. Dr. Young, do you believe free trade betters the life of the average British citizen?
Absolutely. I believe free trade agreements make us more prosperous as a society. While not perfect, I truly believe pursuing free trade agreements is a positive step in making our world a better place.
Of course, I disagree. While I do not doubt that more wealth comes into our country as a result of free trade agreements, I believe this money never improves the life of the average citizen. The rich get richer and the middle class workers get laid off. Not to mention the ethical issues I have with this.
That is the end of section 3. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
Okay, students, and make sure to check those answers before you continue on. It's very important to catch silly mistakes, of course. Pay attention to the instructions. Now we will go through these questions together. So let's go back to the beginning, and then we'll talk strategy while we're doing this as well. So students, question number 21. How long ago was the first recorded incidences of trade between nations? So how long ago was the first record of trade between nations? And bonus question, can anybody tell me who those nations were? Okay, so I see 3,000 is coming up as an answer, and 3,000 is correct. So it was 3,000 years ago. All you need here is the number 3,000 because years is part of the answer that's given. Between the Arabic and Egyptian people, yeah, absolutely. 3,000 years ago, the first trade between nations. Sure. Okay. All right, so that was a fairly easy one starting off the section, and then they get more and more difficult. Now, here you had to complete a flow chart. When you're completing a flow chart, pay really close attention to pieces of information like 20% higher, country B, country A, because you will hear these words, okay? Even though you might not hear these ones might be paraphrased. You'll hear country A, 20% country B, and that will help you position in the audio. So if a company in country A imports the product, if the country does not have a free trade agreement, the company must pay a something to import the product. This is to level the playing field. Number 22, did anybody catch the answer for that one? It was a synonym for tax. Tax is okay. They'll accept that word because it's a perfect synonym. But the word was tariff. Yeah, that's right. Now, the word here is tariff, not tariffs. If you write taxes or tariffs, you'll get it wrong. It's just tariff because you have must pay a tariff. So it's singular form here, okay? Make sure, students, that you really pay attention to these articles. If you see a or un, then you know the noun must be in single form, okay? So careful with that, Gladi Varghese. I see that you gave the plural, and also I saw Vatsal, remember, say taxes as well, plural. So be careful with plurals, okay? If you write plural, you'll get it wrong. Okay, this is to level the playing field for who? Okay, so who does it level the playing field for? What was the answer for number 23? It was 2 words. Remember, the instructions say no more than 2 words. So that means that some answers will most likely be 2 words. Yeah, and here it is plural, so it's domestic manufacturers. Okay, plural. So domestic manufacturers. Manufacturers are producers, people that make products, or companies that make products. The verb manufacture, the noun or person noun or institutional noun, manufacturer, the plural, manufacturers. Now, if you're not sure about the answer, of course, what you want to do is check the transcripts. And here, notice that this space is the last piece here, okay? So if I check the transcripts, which means the script for this audio in the back of the book, in this case, it's on page 134. Okay, so let me just get to this question. All right. And I want to show you something important here. So here's question 22 in the script. 22 in brackets here. So this is to level the playing field. So this key phrase kind of helped you position yourself. And then here for domestic manufacturers. And notice how there's a period here. Okay, so it's the end of the sentence. Now, you know this because in the audio, the speaker's voice has a deflection, meaning that it's the end of the sentence. So even if you don't know these words, domestic manufacturers, you can kind of catch this. So you might be able to get it right because the person said, this is to level the playing field for domestic manufacturers. And then he takes a pause here, okay? So you might be able to guess that that collocation was the right answer for question 22, okay? So check the transcripts and kind of train yourself in your ears to find the start and the end of sentences, okay? Oftentimes, answers are at the end of the sentence of the speaker, okay? Like in this case. So let's go back to the questions and then we'll continue on. All right. So that was question 23, sorry. Okay, here we go. So if countries do have a free trade agreement, the company does not have to pay to import the item. Some advocates of protectionism believe free trade advocates are only worried about maximizing something for large corporations. Now, you might be able to figure that out from content as well, okay? Boomy says it's profit, maximizing profit because that makes sense. Now here, maximizing profit is okay, and in this case, you get a little bit of a break if you write profits. That's also okay. Profit or profits. In some situations, students, you can have the singular or the plural, but those are rare, so be careful, okay? Usually it's just one or the other. In some cases, singular, plural, they both make sense. In those cases, it's acceptable. So maximizing profits for large corporations or maximizing profit for large corporations, those are both okay in this case. All right. Let's keep putting along. Questions 25 to 26. This is still the first half of the audio. Write no more than 3 words and or a number for each answer. Some people will lose their jobs under free trade agreements, but we must emphasize the needs of the something and not be sidetracked by the needs of the something. Here, you had to have 2 words. So pay really careful attention, especially in your answer sheet. This is question 25. So here you have the space for question 25, 26 in your answer sheet. This is the paper-based exam. In the computer-based exam, a good thing is that it's a smaller chance of making a mistake. So, but we must emphasize the needs of the many. Okay, so many here, not money, but many, M-A-N-Y, and not be sidetracked by the needs of the few. So here it's a 2-word answer, and in your answer sheet in the exam, you have to have many, comma, few. If you do it like this, few, comma, many, by accident you mix up the order, that will be wrong, because here the order is very important. First comes many, then comes few. So many, comma, few. When you have both words, then you get that one marked correctly. So in the IELTS, be careful because the format of the test is also a test. So you're getting kind of tested in 2 ways. Number 1, can you use the English? Can you find the correct or hear the correct answers? Number 2, are you paying attention to the format of the exam, the instructions? That's the hidden part of it. So are you paying attention to the instructions? Can you understand the English for the instructions of what's going on here? Okay, that's kind of another part of the exam. So it's like the hidden part of the exam. Okay, so be really careful about that. The IELTS exam, this is why even if you have really good English, it's definitely a good idea to do at least a few practice exams, timed practice exams, before you sit the real one because of the format. You have to be familiar with the format. Okay? Awazbek, this is listening, and we're going to do listening part 4 here in just a few minutes. Okay, number 26. Free trade lowers the price of many goods because it increases what? Now, this is a part of what I said yesterday. Use your logic. Okay? So, free trade lowers the price of many items because it increases what? Not jobs. That's right, Elena. It's competition. Okay? So, again, if you have good English and you understand the question, you can get this answer without even listening in many cases. If your country can sell Apple phones, can sell Google phones, can sell Samsung phones, that competition pushes the price of those phones down. Okay? So competition is the correct answer there. All right. Watch your spelling. Spelling is important. Now here we had to complete the chart. No more than 1 word. Okay. So cause and effect. Pay attention to the heading of each column. These are columns. Okay. These are rows. So pay attention to the column headings here. This is the cause and this is the effect. Enter into a free trade agreement. Jeopardizes human rights standards. Sweatshops collapse. The conditions are highlighted in the what? So who reports this information? Who highlights the information? Derek, yeah, media. So it's media. Media it is. Of course, that's where you see it, is in the news. So when there were some workers at one of the Apple factories that were in terrible conditions, we saw that in the media, right? The realization that such incidents are not isolated. Okay, so these aren't just one-off. Implore companies and something to raise the bar. So to create a better situation. Now the answer here is governments, okay? You have to have the S, okay? Why? Because notice how companies is plural, okay? So one way, if you have two nouns, so you have noun one and you have noun two. If noun one, the given noun is plural, it has an S, then this is an S. Now, students, be really careful, okay? I saw one student in the chat doing this. I'll explain that. So, Puneet did governments like this. Okay, so put the S in brackets. You can't do that, students. If you try to get tricky and go, oh, I'll write singular and plural, and I'll do government and then bracket S, governments, you'll get this marked wrong in this situation. Okay? In this situation, it has to be a very clear plural, not brackets. Okay? It can't be like one or the other because the only correct answer is plural because it's companies and governments to raise the bar. So be really careful with that. Examiners don't like it when students try to do little sneaky maneuvers. Like sometimes on the exams, we've seen students do this for true false, where it's like, okay, is that true or is that false? Guess what? It's just wrong, okay? So there's no mercy. They're not going to say, oh, I think the student's trying to say false. No, no, no. I can't tell if that's true or false, so it's wrong, okay? Be really careful. Be really, really careful. All right? Governments has to be plural. All right? Okay, so going on to multiple choice. Remember what I said, for multiple choice, you have to change the question to a statement. So here you could say, okay, what is Dr. Young's main point in advocating for free trade? I believe that free trade is, and then his point, okay? So try to listen for this kind of content, okay? So, and then these are really long, okay? You can't read these in real time. So what you have to do is you have to know what Dr. Young's point is. Did anybody catch that? What is Dr. Young's point? So what did Dr. Young actually say about free trade? If you're hoping that the answer would just jump out at you and you're going to catch it, then that would not work. Okay? You had to catch his statement. So he said, I believe that free trade is. Did anybody catch what he actually said? He said, I believe that free trade is not perfect, but it's a step in the right direction. So that's what he said. He said, I don't think it's perfect, but I think it's kind of the best that we got. Yeah, so Sridhar Sulka caught that, right? Okay, and again, if you're not sure, you check the transcripts, right? So don't rush. A lot of students just rush through these listening exercises, trying new ones all the time, and don't bother checking the answers. So it's really important that you check the answers and see where the answers are coming from, okay? So let's have a look here. And here we go. Okay, so here's what Dr. Young says. Here we go. Have a look. So Dr. Young says, absolutely, I believe free trade agreements make us more prosperous as a society. While not perfect, I truly believe pursuing free trade agreements is a positive step in making our world a better place. Okay? All right, everybody staying focused? Yeah? Stay focused, students. If you're having trouble focusing in this short live class, you'll have much more difficulty in a 3-hour IELTS exam. So practicing staying focused is absolutely important. All right. So let's jump back to the questions here. Okay. So the correct answer for 29 was B. Okay. Free trade agreements are not perfect, but they're a good step towards increasing global welfare. All right, question 30. What is Dr. Sturgeon's main point in advocating for protectionism? So it means taxing imports. Okay, what does he say? And he said something very clear as well. Again, you have to listen for the answer. You can't just wait for it to pop out. Okay? And the answer here was C. So he says free trade agreements are bad because they concentrate wealth in the hands of the elite few. So we need protectionism. So the correct answer was C. Okay. And he said that a couple different ways. I believe he even said something like the rich keep getting richer and the poor just keep getting poorer. Okay. All right, students. So again, for multiple choice, change the question into a statement. Listen for the answer. Don't just focus on these choices because it's really difficult to figure out the right answer, especially when you have long choices like this. It's not just one word. Okay, even for a native speaker, it's really difficult if I'm just trying to search for the choices. So instead of searching the choices, I have to listen to the statement and the answer. Is that clear for everyone? Yeah? Okay, hopefully. All right, so let's keep going with questions 31 to 40 for part 4. Okay, so part 4. Questions 31 to 40. Again, we'll listen. Don't write your answers into the chat. Puneet, that's great. I'm glad you got 8 out of 10. We'll look at scores at the very end. So here we go. Let's jump back to our web portal here, our online learning site. And again, I'm playing the audio through my microphone and Bose speakers, so I'm max volume. So if it's quiet, turn up the volume, use a headset. Here we go, students, with section
Battery 90%.
Some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Listening, section 4. You will hear a university lecture on the famous artist Michelangelo. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Good to see you all. As you know, we're having an exam a week from today. Material from today's class will be included on the exam, but material from the final 2 classes of the week will not be included. I hope this will give you an opportunity to revise enough to perform well on the exam. With that administrative business out of the way, I'd like to begin today's lecture on the lesser-known works and endeavors of the famous Italian Renaissance artist Michelangelo. While Michelangelo is best known for his painting of the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, he was also the creator of a number of other highly respected works. Among these are the Pieta, a statue of Mary holding a deceased Jesus, and the statue David, said to be the representative of the perfect male form. But Michelangelo was not just a painter and a sculptor. One of his crowning achievements is St. Peter's Basilica, a project he was lead architect on for the 17 years preceding his death in 1564. While the basilica wasn't completed until 1626, over 60 years after his death, Michelangelo's influence on the structure was immense, as he had laid out many plans for the structure during his lifetime, many of which were faithfully carried out under the reign of future popes and future architects. Michelangelo's fingerprints are all over modern Rome, and especially what is today Vatican City. Not only through his paintings, frescoes, and sculptures, but also through his architectural achievements. In addition to his influence on St. Peter's Basilica, Michelangelo also redesigned the famous Capitoline Hill area of Rome and designed many chapels within the walls of the Vatican. Michelangelo was also tasked with a number of pet projects over the years. These projects were not one that the man himself wanted to undertake, but was compelled to because of monetary considerations or simply loyalty to the Pope. For example, when Pope Julius II ordered him to construct a 3 times life-size bronze statue of the Pope, Michelangelo had no choice but to accept. The project took up more than 2 years of his life, and 4 years after its completion, the work was unceremoniously melted down to construct cannons. Additionally, the conditions under which he was made to work were often sorely substandard. For years, he lived and worked with 4 other men in a cramped apartment with little to no privacy and no room for his creative juices to flourish. It is interesting to imagine what a genius such as Michelangelo could have accomplished given reign over his own creativity. I personally believe the world is a poor place for him having not been allowed this luxury. However, on the other hand, perhaps Michelangelo's sometimes tortured life imbued his works of art with something more than just artistic genius. Although Michelangelo is a celebrated figure for his works of art and well respected for this architectural acumen, his literary works are virtually unknown to the world. He was a virtuoso of Renaissance art, celebrated in his lifetime and venerated centuries after his death, but his writings never made an impact on the society in which he lived, nor in the years since. Michelangelo was an avid writer of poetry and found that poetry was an invaluable escape from the grind of his everyday work life, especially during the years spent arduously painting the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. Poetry provided an outlet for his frustrations, fears, beliefs, and desires. Those who want to know the real Michelangelo must go beyond his frescoes and sculptures and dig deep into his personal writings. There, one will find a rather tortured soul, harmed by years of physical, political, professional, and personal strife.
That is the end of section 4. You will now have half a minute to check your answers.
And again, students, use that half minute to check your answers, and then for the paper-based exam, at this point, you're going to have 10 more minutes to transfer all the answers from the listening section to your answer booklet, which is lots of time, if you think about that, 10 minutes for 40 questions. Here we go, students. Let's answer these together. So first, the professor talks a little bit about what will be on the exam for the students. And here all you have to do was choose A if it's on the exam and B if it's not on the exam. Now, of course, this is the most challenging part, so this takes the most concentration. Number 31, material from the 3rd class of the week. Is it on the exam or it's not on the exam? From the 3rd class. It's not on the, from the 3rd class of the week. It's on the exam or not on the exam. A or B. It's a 50-50, so you've got nothing to lose by guessing at the end of the day if you didn't catch it. Yeah, so she says it will not be on the exam. Yeah, B, very good. So from the 3rd week, 3rd class of the week, it's not. Okay. Material from the current class, so from this class on Michelangelo for 32, is that going to be on the exam or no, according to the professor, for 32? B or A? Charlie says that's A. Yeah, that's right. So material from this class will be included in the exam. She says that very, very clearly. So B and A. And of course, students, if you're planning to study in English in another university, this is why you have to really have good listening skills, because you have to know what's going on. If you miss this information, then you might end up studying material you don't need to and not study material that you do need to. So B and A. Okay, and then a lecture on the famous Italian artist, Michelangelo. So, of course, most of this is paraphrased. So you're watching for paraphrasing and for keywords, okay? So why Michelangelo is perhaps most famous for painting the Sistine Chapel, he is also famous for a number of other highly respected works, including the Pieta and the statue named something thought to symbolize male beauty. Statue named what? It was one name, kind of a simple name, so no spelling, obviously. And of course, it's a name, so it has to be a capital letter. Faryozbek, Nazir Ahmed, Derek, Charlie Sen. Very good. It's the statue David. Yeah, statue of David. I think from David and Goliath, biblical character. Not Mary. That was another statue that was talked about, but this is male beauty. So from that, you know it's not Mary, right? Because Mary is a woman. Okay, so statue of David. All right. Architectural achievements, so buildings, far more than just a painter. Michelangelo was also an architect. He was lead architect on St. Peter's Basilica for something until his death in 1564. So until how many years was Michelangelo the lead architect on the very famous St. Peter's Basilica in Rome? Anybody catch that number? And all you need here is just a number, okay? Lead architect for 17 years. Okay? And here you do need the word years because it's not given. So St. Peter's Basilica for 17 years until his death in 1564. Okay? Though the structure was not completed until 60 years after his death, his fingerprints are all over the resulting structure because future something and something or someone and someone faithfully carried out his designs. So for number 35, again, you need two words separated by a comma. Did anybody get that for number 35? You should have gotten popes and architects. Architects, okay? And if you don't know how to spell these words, take a look at the given words in the summary. They'll help you, okay? So popes and architects. Popes needs an E, girls and guys. Pops means dads, okay? So fathers or dads. So not pops. Pop is either a soft drink or a slang word for dad or father. So not pops, but popes, okay? And because it's the Catholic religion, they definitely weren't dads. So popes and architects. Okay, Michelangelo's influence is also apparent around the rest of the city of something, including at the ancient Capitoline Hill site. So number 36. What is it? Which city? It is the city of Rome. Hopefully you got that. The city of Rome. Okay? not the Vatican, but Rome. And it has to be a big R because it's the name of a city. If you write a small r, then you get it wrong. Including ancient Capitoline Hill, that's how you know it's not the Vatican. The Vatican doesn't include Capitoline Hill, okay? So it's Rome, Rome. All right. He was also a loyal servant of the Pope sometimes, and see here you can see the spelling of Pope. Notice how it's written with a capital P as well. Sometimes this was important work, though sometimes it was rather pointless. He once built a something of the Pope only to see it melted down for cannon parts just a few years later. Number 37, he built a giant, hopefully you got this, bronze statue. Okay, it was a bronze statue. Bronze is a type of metal. Okay, so bronze statue. Cannon parts. Moreover, the something he had to work in were often substandard. This was one word for number 38. Hopefully you got that. The word was conditions. Okay, so conditions. Very good, Nazir Ahmed. It's fantastic. All right. Now notice how these answers are actually, or this summary is broken into different sections. So here it's literary works, and this is where the professor talks about not just the statues, the architecture, but the writings of Michelangelo. Literacy, literature, it's writing, reading. So that's what you're listening for. It is interesting to think what he could have made if he was given the freedom to explore his own something. So that 39, the correct answer would have been creativity. Okay, very nice, Aswati. Very good, Shirojidin. Nice spelling, everyone. Good job, Nazir and Simona. All right. Now, last one. Something, it's a noun, was an important way to escape the difficulties of Michelangelo's life. Though his writings were never made much of an artistic impact, they do offer a window into his tortured genius. And Demilia Kopp, you're right. Saswati, indeed, it's poetry. Okay, of course that was popular back then to write poetry, poems, and it's poetry in this case. All right, so that was the last one. Okay, students, especially those of you who were in yesterday's class as well, what did you get out of 40? So what was your total mark out of 40? Add together today's and yesterday's score, sum them together, see what you got out of 40. Now, I'll just show you a nice little tool here on our website. Let me just darken up our screen here a bit so you can see that brighter background, okay? So if you go to the bottom of the website at aehelp.com or generalieltshelp.com, you'll see this score calculator. Okay, you can access the score calculator. And then you'll see that you have your listening out of 40 raw score here. By the way, you have that score calculator on the app as well. So on the Academic IELTS Help app or the General IELTS Help app, you have this score calculator that you can use. Okay. So Nazir Ahmed got 33. Nazir, you got a band 7.5 if you got 33. Okay. Let's see who else. Bebek Tamang got 29. So 29 would be a band 6.5 there, Bebek. Okay. Elena, 34. 34 is a 7.5. Okay. Mai, Naif, 27. That would be a band 6.5. Okay, so you can use that function on both websites, the score calculators. Make sure that you're using the correct website because the reading section's different for the score calculator. So that's it for today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be back with speaking part 2, speaking part 3, practice. Okay. And until then, check out our websites, aehelp.com that we were using today for the listening, and glshelp.com for the general. Join the premium packages there. Spend a few dollars. It's not expensive. You get 6 original practice exams, a fully interactive course, lots of great strategies, and over 100 hours of video lessons, well structured. And students who use our websites pretty much all report boosting their band scores by at least 1 after a month or so. So try it out. All right, everyone. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Hopefully, I'll see you tomorrow. Use English lots. Now's a good time to practice. Bye for now. Much love from Budapest.